Welcome to the second episode of the Basics of Painting. In this episode, we will explore preparation and assembly. It is during this phase of painting that we remove any casting imperfections which might be visible once we start painting. Before we begin, it is a good idea to wash the miniatures in some mild soap. This removes oils and the releasing agents that prevent the paint from properly adhering to the surface. Once they're dry, we can start removing the parts from the sprues. Plastic cutters are the easiest and safest tool for this job. To remove the part, simply place the plastic cutter around the attachment gate with the flat side as close as possible to the piece. Should the component be fragile, I suggest removing it in 2 stages, making the first cut closer to the framework. Then, once the component is completely detached, you can remove the gates. Now that we have separated the parts from the sprues, it's time to take care of those detachment scars. A crafting knife is ideal for this. Carefully shave the scar until it's flat. Just make sure to have something to protect your surface with, such as a cutting mat. If you wish, you can sand the surface with a fine-grained sandpaper for an even, smooth finish. Whilst we're at it, we can also look for ejection markings, vents and flashing and remove those as well. The knife can also be used to deal with mold lines, plastic which has escaped between the mold halves during the casting process. Simply back scrape with the blade at an angle. A specific mold line removing tool works well too. However, if the mold line is located on a round object or in a crevice, sandpaper or a file is the better option to take care of them. Our parts are now clean and free from blemishes. It's time for assembly. Miniatures mainly come in 3 different materials: plastic, metal and resin. Prep work for metal and resin does vary from plastic to some degree. For purposes of simplicity, I will cover this in a separate video. As a general rule though, all other materials than plastic need to be fixed with superglue. Metal also requires sturdier tools during the preparation. Plastic glue differs from superglue in that it takes a longer time to set, allowing you to adjust the position. In addition, it forms a stronger bond as it actually welds together the parts. When assembling, push the parts together for a few seconds. The glue should be able to hold on its own within a minute, but won't be completely fixed until an hour later. If you're unsure how the pieces go together, try fit them first before applying any glue. Be careful when applying the glue, as it will destroy any detail should you make a mess. If you make one anyway, wait for the glue to dry before removing it. This is also true for glue seeping out of the joint. Here I'm using the glue as a filler. This is especially useful for concealing seams formed on bisected parts, such as this mechanical leg. When the glue is dry, scrape and file at the seam and you won't notice it any longer. I later found out that superglue worked better for this type of plastic. Bear in mind that the evaporation fumes will make you drowsy, so keep your working station ventilated when working for prolonged periods of time. There's only one more thing left to do, and that is to fill the larger gaps with an epoxy putty. These come in two variants, pre-mixed and 2-part, and I'll be using a 2-part green stuff. Cut out a small chunk of both the putty and the hardener and mix them together until they turn into a solid green mass. To make it more compliant, a little water will help. Then roll it into a sausage and push it and work it seamlessly with the rest of the model with some sort of tool. I'm using a rubber brush. It will take a good 24 hours for it to fully solidify, but once dry, you can paint over it just as well as the sculpt itself. Our minis are now complete and ready for painting. I'm going to apply a base texture later on, but you can just as well prime it along with the rest of the miniature. For ease of painting, I'll be leaving one of the 2nd generation mutants separate from its base. This is what is known as painting a model in sub-assemblies. Another example is this Tau hammerhead tank. We can now move on to painting our miniatures, but before we do that, let's quickly summarize what we have learned. Different tools are better suited for different kinds of prep work, and we now know which tool to choose in different situations. The glue you use depends on the material. It can act as a filler, and in addition, we've grasped the importance of sub-assemblies. Finally, we've learned how to apply putty post-assembly. Alright, that should cover it. I hope you found something useful in this video, and that you now have a better idea of the preparation process. I'll gladly receive any suggestions or criticism in the comment section below. Thank you for watching.